Well, that little snippet of a song right there was something I wrote just a couple years after I had learned to play guitar. So this video, it's seeking to answer the question that you probably have, which is how do I start writing a song with my guitar? A lot of people watching this, you've learned to play, like you can do some chord shapes, some different keys and structures, but now this is a whole new world of how do I actually write my own stuff? And so what I'm gonna do is show you the two approaches that I've seen that all songwriting kind of falls into or emphasizes one way or the other so that you can have confidence when you're songwriting and start to do things that are fresh, new, outside the box, that are exciting. So if you've got a guitar with you in the room, pick that up, bring it over, and let's write some songs together. So the two approaches that we're about to experience together, the first one I call the random approach, and the second one I call the framework approach. And so we're gonna start with this one called the random approach. And the reason this is so powerful and great for beginning songwriters is you don't have to know any music theory. Nothing. You don't have to know the key of a song, what that means. You don't have to know chord names. You don't have to know how they work together. Nothing. You just use your ear and you pick and choose things at random. And as they sound good to you, then you take hold of those and you keep writing the song. So I'm going to show you how I did this. Even that little snippet at the beginning, I wrote through this random approach. So let me kind of show you how I did that. Kind of my starting point for writing that. Here's what you can do, and what I suggest starting with is something you do know, like in my case, I remember learning an A sus2 chord. It's just 2 fingers, sounds really nice, open and airy. And what I did was, and you can do this along with me if you got your guitar, 2nd and 3rd finger on the 2nd frets of D and G, and then we just play A through high E. And I took this nice chord and I started to move it around randomly by sliding it up into different spots and then strumming and seeing what it sounded like. That sounds really dissonant. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'm feeling that. Ooh, yeah, and so you start to ask yourself as you move it around and just hear fresh things, do I like this? Do I not? Ooh, yes. Very dark, very mysterious. That's how it speaks to me, at least. And that's what I did when I was writing. Now, if I kept going, ooh, yes. Yeah, so notice how then I just naturally wanted to start picking, hearing each note, feeling the full kind of mood of this chord. Let's keep going. Nice. It's kind of like what's gonna happen next? That's how I feel it. A little dissonant, not working. Yeah, you're looking for things that speak to you, that's really cool. It's like, what's gonna happen next? That's a great chord for that. Oh yeah. Okay, these two work together, don't they? Okay, see how I'm just sliding around, and as I randomly go along, I try out different rhythms with my hand, like just depending on, again, that mood. You can try other things like palm muting, see what happens. I'm gonna work with these 2 chords just because I never slide my hand here, and this is new for me. Now that I've found something to work with, a starting point, something that feels very new and fresh, I'm unfamiliar with, I don't normally slide my 2 fingers here. Let me start adding my other fingers into random places and seeing what happens. Let's add my first finger to the 5th fret on the A. 4th fret. Ooh, okay. That's like a C minor 7 chord here. What if I do that? Ooh, that's cool. I'm not sure. I'm just taking note. What does it do? Let's see. Oh, that's cool. How about this? What if I add my pinky right here, my first finger? I'm gonna stick with this. Let's see. How about, da, Oh, look at that. Look at that. What if I changed? Woo. Yeah, what if I added that first finger? All right, so there's me just writing and seeing what happens. And you can do the same thing. Okay, take any chord shape you want, G, E, D, anything, and just start moving it around at random. Add or subtract a finger, see what happens, and see kind of the happy accidents that you run into and that help you start creating the song. Also, you don't have to pressure yourself into writing something that you feel like that there's an expectation to write something. Like, you don't have to have verses and choruses and bridges all, as an expectation that you have to meet. Just be free. I think it's such a problem that I see students having is they put expectations on themselves, or maybe they feel that others do, and you can just be you and discover what's on your guitar and what kind of new, fresh sounds are available to you through using this randomization approach here. So that's how it works, and you can create full songs like that. So I hope that was helpful to you. So let's look at the next approach called the framework approach. So this framework approach, what is it? Well, the word framework means that we have something to build upon. There's kind of a structure already laid for us. And so this is where it's helpful to have a little bit of music theory understanding. And for guitar specifically, something called caged method. And part of caged method is those 5 letters, C-A-G-E-D. Our guitar is built and laid out in such a way that we can play in these structures, or some people say forms, to allow us to have all these different chord shapes and chords already known that sound and work great together. In G structure, for example, let's start there. G structure is G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, D over F sharp, back to G. And these 7 chords we can already know from this structure, they sound great. So no matter what melody line we bring, that's, let's say, in this case, we're in the key of G also. If I had a singer come in and they had a melody line already, and they were like, da 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 da. They just kept doing that. Da, 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 da. They're like, I've got this. What can you do with it? Well, the framework method and having structures like this with chords that we know work together, we can just immediately start creating with complete confidence that these chords are going to work and be harmonious. So for instance, let's say I'm in G structure. You can do this with me if you have a guitar. Play a G chord. We're going to go, I'm just going to play the first 4 chords of G structure, the 1 G, A minor, B minor, C. So da 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 da. So I just came up with this melody line on the spot. I knew it was going to be in G, but it just sounds good already, right? Like it already sounds like a song. Let's pick another chord, maybe my 5 chord D. Da 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 da, and then down to the 4. Da 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 da. And then what if I went to my 1, da 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 da, and then back to the 4, da 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 da. Okay, so already like I'm there is a bit of randomness. It's not very random though. I mean, these are 7 chords. I'm just kind of mixing and matching. All right, so it's really, you really know what you have to pick from, and then you just experiment within that framework, right? There's that minor 6. I could kind of hear in my head that'd be good to go there. There we go. How about there's my 3 chord. I could do minor. All right, and then now that you have that part right, kind of this caged tool that we can use to help us in this framework, now we can use a second tool, a capo. So if you don't have a capo, I would highly suggest getting one of these because it just expands your world. Let's just say I put it up on the 5th fret and we play this same thing. Listen how much this is just gonna change us. I haven't tried this or anything. This is my first time to hear this. Here we go. So like go. All right, so that's me just kind of feeling it. What if I sang a melody line like that and started playing around with some chords? So it immediately sounds like a song. Now, it might sound a little too predictable to you, possibly, like when you first start, but then you could make some little adjustments, right? And kind of like from that randomization method, you could add maybe a finger somewhere. Like let's say I've got a C shape here, and then I add my pinky on, take my middle finger off, use that instead. Taking fingers on and off to see how they change the chord up a little bit, and then you're on your way, right? This is how the song is built. So I hope it's helpful for you to see that as well, how to use a capo, right? You can use the same chords, but immediately it changes the key for you, and then you can use the other structures. So here's a little cheat sheet. Guess I'll throw this up on the screen for you. Why not? So C, A, G, E, and D. Each of these, if you start with that chord, right, as your bass chord, the one chord as we call it, then here's all the other chords that work with those chords, okay? So like C, it goes C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, G over B, back to C. They're all gonna sound great if you have a singer that's coming in singing in the key of C, or if they're singing another key, you can put your capo on and match the key that they're in, but still use that C structure, right? That's how we use this particular approach. You know what? Now that I think about it, there's actually a song that you can go check out on YouTube called Every Breath is Praise by a group called People and Songs. Me and my friend Crystal Yates, we actually wrote this song. Here's a real example you can listen to that it's kind of a blend of both approaches. So she had this like melody line that she came with. That was it. She had like a couple lyrics. I don't know if it was in this key. I'm gonna use this key. This is like G sharp minor. So she came in and was like, Jairus, here's what I got. Glory, glory, hallelujah, glory. Glory, hallelujah, glory. Glory, hallelujah. Every breath is praise. Glory. That's all she had. She just kept singing it. And as I listened to this, I was like, okay, this to me, I was like, this kind of has like a dark kind of minor feel to it, where it's like an old gospel spiritual thing. And so, I might have started out up here something and, worked my way down until I could quickly figure out the key she was singing in. So like, glory, that's it, G sharp minor. And then what I did was, this is where it's kind of the blend of the structure and random. I wanted to just keep going down bass note to bass note. And that's, it's called chromatic, where you just go one note to the next without skipping any. And just chromatically go down and see what happened. And so it was like, glory, glory, hallelujah, glory, glory, hallelujah, glory, glory, hallelujah, every breath is praise, and then praise. And I remember immediately liking what was happening. Like, it was giving me this bass note for the melody line to sit on, and it was giving me kind of as a bit of like that, the way the random approach works is it lets you hear something kind of fresh that you hadn't planned out already. And I was like, that's so nice. And then as I started to try out other things, I tweaked it just a little bit, and I think we're like, glory, glory, hallelujah, glory. And I skipped down, went a whole step. Glory, hallelujah, glory. I kept the half step down and turned it into a chord. Glory, hallelujah. And then every breath is, and then praise. We got to that note and turned it into like a 7 chord. So glory, and then I started to get some groove in it. Glory, glory, hallelujah, glory, glory, hallelujah, glory, glory, hallelujah, every breath is praise. And there it was. Like, it didn't take long, maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes at max to kind of get that chord progression, just trying out bass note to bass note, making little alterations, trying to turn them into chords, major or minor, and part of this, I have enough experience that I can kind of hear in my head the kind of chord shape I need to make. And that's something that you'll develop as you use both random and framework approaches to develop your ear to already hear in your mind a kind of chord shape, major, minor, different, slash chords or whatever that will work with a melody line. So I just wanted to give you like a real example, and I'll leave the link in the description if you want to actually listen to that song. I think it's pretty cool. So, well, cool. So what'd you think? What did you think about those approaches? Is there an approach that you take that, you don't think even fits in these categories? Something I haven't thought about? I'd love to know about all that. Please leave your comments. I would love to know what it is you're writing and how that experience is going for you. And if there's any questions you have, or maybe future topics in songwriting you'd like to hear me touch upon, and I'd love to do that. Also, please like and subscribe if you're finding this useful. And guys, I'll just kind of leave you with that David Bowie quote, right? Don't be afraid to go out where your toe is barely touching the bottom of the ocean and your head is just barely above the water, and that's actually the place you need to be. Take those risks. Enjoy being in that place where it feels mysterious, a little uncomfortable, because that's just the place you need to be to start doing exciting things in songwriting. So, happy songwriting to you, and I'll see you soon.